It all begins in the year 1430, when Earth was invaded by some very strange and powerful creatures. In the beginning, humanity adored these beings, even calling them angels for their imposing appearance. Meanwhile, the demons saw them as enemies and began to fight back against this new threat. Over time, humans realized the true nature of these angels and the danger they posed. They then decided to join the demons, their former rivals, to fight against a common enemy. The battle was fierce, with human knights giving their all to face the gigantic invaders. At that moment, a soldier charges forward with all his might to take down one of the beings in white armor. After a great struggle, the battlefield was filled with the fallen forms of both humans and demons. A holy knight named Jean then asks if they managed to defeat all the enemies. Suddenly, she and the other warriors spot a giant, mysterious gate materializing on the horizon. The gate was colossal and seemed to appear from nowhere, leaving all the soldiers bewildered. The immense door then begins to open slowly, releasing a brilliant light from within. The girl is stunned, wondering what on earth is happening at that moment. A giant hand then grips the edge of the door, signaling that something huge was about to emerge. Seeing this, the soldiers on the ground panic, one of them declaring that this can't be real. The massive creature steps out from the gate, revealing its full form and terrifying everyone with its size. Desperate, the soldiers and demons start running for their lives as the giant being draws closer. The knight Jean stands paralyzed with fear, saying she's never seen a creature so large in her life. The giant angel then brings its hands together, starting to charge up a sinister purple power. With a single motion, it unleashes a shockwave that effortlessly sends several warriors flying. A wicked smile spreads across the villain's face, its eyes glowing, showing it's enjoying the situation. Witnessing the destruction, one of the knights loses all hope and tells his companion it's all over. But the holy knight remains steadfast, gripping her sword tightly to show she won't give up. She then shouts that the fight isn't over yet, because the demon king is on his way to help them win. A demon beside her agrees, saying they need to hold on until their leader arrives. Hearing this, the other soldiers regain their courage, believing that with the demon king's help, they can win. The giant angel wastes no time, flying towards the remaining warriors to finish them all at once. Abruptly, the giant being is struck by a surprise attack from above, halting it in mid-air. Seeing the enemy is about to counterattack, Jane yells for all her allies to dodge immediately. The monster then fires a super powerful beam of light from its eyes toward the soldiers. The angel's attack is devastating. Many soldiers are instantly gone in the flash of light. The knight is horrified, watching her comrades vanish right before her eyes. Following that, a massive explosion erupts where the beam of light struck the ground. However, the attack seems to have come at a cost, as the angel's arms are now damaged. The giant being grows furious with the situation and glares at what remains of the warriors. Meanwhile, Jean shields herself from the blast, bracing for what might come next. She realizes she survived the assault and lifts her head in confusion, not understanding what happened. That's when she sees that someone has created a magical barrier to protect everyone from the enemy's attack. With a smile of relief, the girl realizes the help she'd been waiting for has finally arrived. The mysterious figure floating in the sky was none other than the powerful Demon King. He descends to the ground and commends the warriors for holding out until his arrival. The Demon King introduced himself as Dantirio, telling everyone to leave the rest to him. The Holy Knight looks at her savior with a small, relieved smile on her face. She then teases the young man, saying that he honestly took way too long to show up. The protagonist just offers a slight smirk, showing his confidence in their victory. One of the knights exclaims that reinforcements are finally here, while another admits the demons saved their lives. With renewed morale, the soldiers begin to chant the Demon King's name as he flies into battle. Our hero then advances on the giant angel, which stares back with a very serious expression. Dantirio furiously declares he will make the enemy pay dearly for harming his precious subordinates. With that, he concentrates a vast amount of purple energy in his hands, preparing to strike. In the blink of an eye, the Demon King appears before the angel and lands a powerful kick to its face. The giant monster is completely taken aback by the young man's speed and the force of the attack. The protagonist's blow is so strong it creates a shockwave of dark energy on impact. The angel's body then begins to be sliced into pieces by blades of dark energy. The soldiers on the ground are dumbfounded, watching the enemy get completely torn apart in the air. However, to everyone's astonishment, the monster's body starts to regenerate and pull itself back together. The giant angel completely reconstructs itself and glares down at the small Demon King from above. The creature reassembles all its parts as if the attack hadn't left a single scratch. It then looks down, preparing to unleash its true power against its small opponent. But the protagonist seems entirely unconcerned, simply clenching his fist with a confident look. The giant angel then swoops down, slamming a powerful fist into the ground right where the protagonist stood. Worried for him, the Holy Knight desperately shouts the Demon King's name. The enemy manages to grab the young man in its giant hand, squeezing with immense force. Even in Pearl, Dantirio remarks the attack wasn't bad, but still not enough to defeat him. He then begins to prepare a magic spell, creating circles of purple energy in his hand. With a battle cry, the protagonist unleashes all his accumulated power at once to break free. A column of dark energy erupts from within the angel's hand, hitting the monster head-on. Feeling immense pain for the first time, the giant being lets out a loud cry of agony. Seeing the enemy suffering, the Demon King cracks a smile, showing the fight is far from over. The giant creature clutches its injured hand, continuing to scream in pain without a second's pause. Suddenly, the angel is surprised to see several golden magic circles appearing beneath it. It then soars into the sky and concentrates a large amount of light energy, preparing for an assault. Next, the enemy dives at high speed toward the protagonist to end the fight. The monster fires a gigantic and overwhelmingly powerful beam of light at the Demon King. Our hero is engulfed by the blast of light, seemingly struggling to withstand the blow. The light from the enemy's attack blankets the entire battlefield in an explosion of energy. The soldiers watch the scene, completely apprehensive, unsure of what to do next. Realizing the danger, the Holy Knight yells for everyone to get down immediately. The light attack then hits the ground with full force, creating a gigantic explosion. On the ground, Jean squeezes her eyes shut, preparing for the worst. She then opens one eye, surprised to find she's still alive. When the smoke clears, the angel is confused to see two spheres of purple energy. It turns out the soldiers were saved by a barrier that shielded them from the blow. The power of the attack was so incredible it left a massive crater in the ground. The girl then looks at the enemy, worriedly wondering where Dantirio could be. Suddenly, the protagonist appears behind the angel, preparing a surprise counterattack. The Demon King comments that the attack wasn't bad, all while holding the opponent's energy. The angel smirks, but a hole suddenly opens in the middle of its chest. The young man's blow pierced through the monster's armor with incredible ease. The protagonist stares down his enemy with a serious look, ready for the next round. The knight on the ground notices a strange detail, wondering if the giant angel is sweating. Ignoring its wound, the giant monster lunges forward to strike the Demon King with a powerful punch. The creature then launches another massive golden light attack, using several magic circles on the ground. Jane and the other warriors are stunned by the speed of the enemy's second blow. The angel seems desperate, believing that if it doesn't win now, the entire world will fall. The protagonist remains silent for a moment, appearing to make a very difficult and risky decision. He then breaks the silence and calls out Jean's name, leaving the knight utterly surprised. Concerned for her ally, the girl asks if Dantirio is okay after taking that attack. The giant angel prepares for the final blow while the small Demon King looks up at it from below. The protagonist then tells his companion to listen very carefully to what he is about to say. The knight and the other soldiers are confused and troubled by their leader's words. He then asks the girl to look after the humans and demons in his stead as a final wish. The knight is completely shocked, failing to understand what the young man means. Abruptly, the girl is enveloped in pink energy and begins to float away from the battle. Alone on the battlefield, the protagonist braces for an all-or-nothing fight against the giant angel. The other soldiers are also enveloped in the same energy and carried away from the battle. From high above, the knight and the others watch the Demon King and the angel prepare for the final clash. The girl then realizes Dantirio's intentions and grows desperate, trying to return to the ground. Alone on the battlefield, the protagonist prepares to use a forbidden and highly dangerous technique. He tells himself he never imagined he would need to use this power in his lifetime. A white light begins to radiate from his body as a giant magic circle appears beneath his feet. The knight shouts for Dantirio to wait, but the magic barrier prevents her from rejoining the battle. With tears in her eyes, she says she will stay with him until the end, but he just calls her name. The protagonist then reveals it was because of her that he began to see humans in a different light. His body starts to transform into pure light, becoming one with the magic circle in the sky. He then bids his friend farewell, saying he hopes to meet her again in his next life. The girl weeps uncontrollably, watching her companion sacrifice himself to save everyone. The giant angel is trapped in the intense light, with nowhere to escape the impending attack. With a final cry from Jean, the Demon King's body explodes in a light that consumes everything around it. In his final moments, he wishes that if they meet again, things will be different. In that instant, the Holy Knight remembers her friend and battle companion. The image of the Demon King in his final moments is forever etched in her memory. Tears continue to stream from her eyes as she mourns the loss of her ally. The explosion of light was so intense it could be seen from space, illuminating a part of the earth. The protagonist's soul then begins to fall into a deep, endless darkness. But suddenly, a golden light completely surrounds him, and his form starts to change. His body dissolves into particles of light, and he appears to be at peace with his fate. The scene then shifts to the modern world, showing the front of an ordinary high school. In a hospital room, a young man with dark hair is lying in a hospital bed. The wet cloth on his forehead is slowly being removed from his face. With that, the boy opens his eyes, completely disoriented by the unfamiliar place. He sits up in bed and looks at his body and hands, startled by the situation. The young man wonders if the spell worked, and what this strange new body is. The former Demon King then realizes he has successfully reincarnated into the body of a simple human. Outside, we see the hospital where the former Demon King awoke in his new body. He approaches the window, and we learn the body belongs to a student named Dea. Admiring the city, the young man wonders if the threat from the angels is finally over. To understand the situation, he decides to examine the memories of the body's owner. The protagonist witnesses the boy's happy memories with his parents, followed by their funeral. Young Dea was utterly devastated by the loss of his family and cried endlessly. The memories also reveal that he was picked on by other students at school. In another memory, the boy is hit by an energy attack from his classmates. The bullies seem to take great pleasure in the poor boy's suffering. Alone and desperate, the boy holds a mysterious pill in his hand. With his hand covering his face, he seemed unable to endure the situation any longer. Suddenly, the young man's body is enveloped by a powerful, bright light. The light grows increasingly intense, appearing to consume his body bit by bit. After this, he loses consciousness, his body floating in a dark void. Back in the present, the young man's eyes glow blue, showing that Dentirio is now in control. The former Demon King remains silent for a moment, just staring at his new human hands. Once outside the hospital, he is met with the sight of a modern and bustling city. The protagonist is still trying to process the situation and make sense of this new world. He then walks through the streets, thinking how peaceful the place seems. Suddenly, his attention is caught by a commotion happening nearby. The young man sees some bullies surrounding a defenseless boy and observes the scene. The group's leader cracks a malicious smile as he approaches his poor victim. The protagonist then recognizes the aggressor as one of the teens from Daya's memories. He recalls the bully yelling at the body's former owner to never fight back. The memory shows the boy with glasses being mercilessly kicked on the ground. The aggressor complains about the situation while continuing to stomp on the poor guy. One of the bully's friends mentions that without Daya, they have no one to take their stress out on. The group's leader, Q, then grabs the boy by the collar and asks if he thinks he's special. But before he can act, his fist is caught in a powerful grip. The bully is stunned, wondering how Mizukami got there and stopped his attack. The bully is shocked by the strength, wondering why he can't move his arm. Then the protagonist simply shoves the aggressor away with a slap to the face. The young man stumbles backward, completely surprised by the force of the blow. Seeing his chance, the other boy who is being targeted gets scared and runs away. The former Demon King glares at Q and asks if he was the one who cornered Mizukami Daya. Confused, the aggressor replies, asking if the person in front of him isn't Mizukami himself. With a wild look, the young man shouts that he's wrong and introduces himself as Demon King Dentirio. Kai is left completely speechless, unable to process the bizarre response he just heard. Then, the bully and his friends burst out laughing, thinking the boy has finally snapped. Dentirio grows irritated, wondering why no one here seems to recognize his legendary name. The aggressor then mockingly asks if his near-death experience made him lose his mind. With a smirk, the young man takes a step forward, preparing for a fight. Suddenly, an aura of golden energy surrounds his body, revealing that he has powers. He concentrates the energy in his hand and tells the protagonist not to get cocky over one hit. The bully then fires a powerful blast of light straight at our hero, but the former Demon King deflects the energy attack with a simple wave of his hand. He then dodges to the side, and the bully's blast hits the ground harmlessly. The aggressor is in disbelief, seeing his attack so easily avoided. Dentirio then remarks that the move was flashy but lacked any real power. Suddenly, a female voice cries out, grabbing the attention of all the boys present. A student named Asahi Sakuraba appears, staring down the group with a very serious expression. The bully is surprised, wondering what the top student in the class is doing there. The girl then walks over to the protagonist and stands by his side to face the aggressors. She tells Yamazaki that if he has time for games, he should go train instead. Kai gets angry, yelling at the girl to mind her own business. Asahi just lets out a tired sigh, showing she has no patience for this. But the protagonist cuts her off, telling her to step aside because he will handle this. The girl seems surprised by his attitude and tries to reason with him. He appreciates her help but says the bully has a score to settle with him. Asahi is completely baffled, not understanding what the boy is talking about. The protagonist beckons the bully forward, stating he also has a score to settle. Kai was enraged by the audacity and accepts the challenge, calling the young man trash with a hateful glare. The aggressor then charges into attack, saying he's going to break a few of his opponent's bones. However, the punch is easily stopped with just one hand by the former Demon King, who doesn't even flinch. He holds the bully's fist firmly, demonstrating the vast difference in their strength. With a single motion, the hero flings the enemy into the air, leaving Asahi to watch in shock. The girl is completely astounded by the incredible strength he just displayed. Q crashes hard onto the ground, and his friends are terrified by his humiliating defeat. Lying on the ground, the aggressor asks what the protagonist is doing just standing there, unable to comprehend. Even defeated, the leader screams for his friends to get the young man and finish him. One of the cronies then prepares for combat, concentrating energy in his hand to attack. With a battle cry, the student fires a blast of power in our hero's direction. Seeing the danger, Asahi yells for Dentirio to watch out for the approaching attack. A large explosion of purple energy then erupts where the protagonist was standing. The bullies celebrate, thinking they've won and saying the boy got what he deserved. In the smoke, Asahi looks on worriedly and calls out the protagonist's name. When the smoke clears, the former Demon King is standing there, completely unharmed by the attack. The bullies are utterly stunned, unable to believe he survived the blow without a scratch. Asahi breathes a sigh of relief as the hero stares down his opponents with a serious look. With that, he gets to his feet, looking at the protagonist with an expression of pure hatred. The aggressor clenches his fist and shouts that he has to be the one to take the young man down. With an unhinged look, the bully concentrates a massive amount of energy in his hand for another strike. As he prepares to attack, the former Demon King is surrounded by a dark, sinister aura. His eyes glow blue as he forms a small sphere of black magic in his palm. Our hero then says that for the first and last time, he will show them what a real fight looks like. With a confident smile, he prepares to unleash his powerful attack on his enemies. The bully charges forward with all his might, shouting that there's no way he can lose to a nobody like him. The protagonist then recalls the memories of Dea being assaulted in an alley. The young boy on the ground declares that one day he'll become stronger, and they'll see. In the memory, the body's former owner lies on the ground, beaten and completely helpless. In the memory, the bully scoffs at the fallen boy, asking what kind of nonsense he's spouting. With a psychotic look, he yells that poor Dea will be his punching bag forever. Back in the present, the protagonist's eyes fill with rage, and he calls the aggressor a brat. His sphere of black magic then collides with the enemy's fist, creating a massive purple explosion. Kai was in complete shock, feeling the overwhelming power of the dark energy attack. With his hand still extended, the former Demon King watches as his opponent is engulfed by the blow. Asahi and the other students stand with their mouths agape, unable to believe what they just witnessed. With that, Ki was defeated and collapses to the ground as his friends watch the scene in terror. Petrified, the other two bullies call him a monster and flee, leaving their leader behind. The hero simply states that this is nothing compared to the pain Mizukami Dea endured. Asahi then approaches, remarking that she's never seen a magic circle like that in her life. Still processing the situation, the girl asks who on earth he really is. The former Demon King turns to her and simply asks if she's referring to him. He then proudly declares once more that he is the great and powerful Demon King Dantirio. The girl makes a confused and uninterested face, not understanding his bizarre answer at all. He goes on to explain that some things happened, and now he is trapped in this new form. The girl grows suspicious, wondering what on earth he is trying to say. She then recalls Jean, the Holy Knight, and notices a certain resemblance. Suddenly, the protagonist senses a strange presence, and his eyes widen in surprise. Atop a building, a mysterious angel is observing the two students from below. The creature with black wings then reveals itself, glaring down at the youths with a threatening look. Sensing the danger, Dantirio and Asahi brace themselves for combat against the new foe. A few white feathers begin to drift down from the sky, catching the attention of the two students. Confused, they look up, unable to understand what is happening. A single white feather lands softly on the ground right in front of the two of them. The scene then shifts to the Angel Suppression Team training school. At this school, young people with high magical power from across the country are gathered to train. Their objective is to learn the necessary skills to combat the invading angels. In a gymnasium, the students are assembled for a very important class for their future. A muscular teacher explains that the test results will impact their grades and future enlistment. Asahi observes the young man, thinking that she let him get away yesterday, but now her curiosity is piqued. She then resolves to uncover the secret behind Mizukami Dea's power, no matter what. Suddenly, the bully Kai shoves Asahi aside and runs to the machine, shouting that he is number one. He stops in front of the protagonist with an angry glare, but the former Demon King is unfazed. With that, the aggressor steps onto the platform and with a shout, begins to concentrate all his magical power. The machine then displays an impressive score of 1006 on the digital screen. The students are amazed, as it's the first time anyone besides Sakuraba has reached 4 digits. Seeing the tired bully, the protagonist reflects on how fragile and pathetic that magical power is. He then surmises that if such a low power level is considered the top, the world must have become quite peaceful. The former Demon King stands with his arms crossed, calmly observing the situation. The aggressor then turns to the young man and beckons him to the platform with a provocative smirk. Dantirio just offers a slight smile, showing he accepts the challenge without any fear. He then raises his hand, announcing to everyone that he will be the next to take the power test. The other students whisper that he was just in the hospital and bet his score will be very low. Looking at the machine, he finds the power measurement intriguing, thinking they didn't have this in the old days. Q scoffs at the young man, asking if this is a history class, since he's only good at studying. The protagonist meets the aggressor's taunt with a look of pure hatred, not saying a word. At that moment, he remembers the old Daya studying alone, struggling greatly in the library. The young man found the material very difficult, and a voice in his head told him to ask his mother. This catches him off guard, making him remember the mother he lost so long ago. He recalls a happy memory from childhood when his mother would help him with his studies. But this memory only brings more sorrow to the poor boy, who is now all alone in the world. Tears fall onto his notebook as he remembers the pain of having no one to help him. Back in the present, Dantirio grows furious and says Q could never understand his feelings. A dark and powerful aura then fills the gym as he walks toward the platform. He steps onto the machine and faces the other students with a serious, determined gaze. Everyone falls silent, confused, not knowing what to expect from the boy they all once looked down on. The display then shows the staggering result of 10,882. Kayu's jaw drops and he desperately yells, asking if the machine is broken. Asahi wonders if he managed to release a massive amount of magic in just a single second. The teacher finds the result odd and asks the boy to measure it again on the machine next to it. Two students comment that despite everything, they're just numbers without much real importance. But another student explains that even among official members, very few surpass 10,000 points. The protagonist then realizes that only one person there truly sensed his power. He turns around, saying they don't need the other machine, as he will demonstrate his power slowly. With that, the former Demon King leans back with an air of superiority and confidence. His eye glows blue, and he cracks a sinister smile, preparing to show his true power. The numbers on the machine skyrocket past 45,000, leaving Asai in shock. Kai shouts that the machine must be broken, but Asai, terrified, thinks otherwise. She realizes his magical power is so immense that no one there can even perceive it. The machine hits its limit of 99,000 and then explodes into pieces before everyone's eyes. The other students are startled by the explosion and scramble away from the machine's wreckage. The protagonist then smirks and mockingly calls the equipment a fragile toy. Every student in the gym is left speechless, completely stunned by the scene they just witnessed. Seeing the chaos, the teacher announces that the measurement is cancelled and will be redone later. Suddenly, one of the students receives an angel alert for Tama City on his watch. The teacher then orders the trainees to provide support at the rear of the battle site. The students are shocked as Tama City is very close to their school. Kai raises his arms in excitement, shouting that he'll finally get to be in a real fight. Asahi and the protagonist prepare for the mission with serious, determined expressions. The former Demon King rests his hand on his chin, appearing to formulate a plan for the situation. The scene then shifts to the streets of Tama City, showing a busy subway entrance. A mother and her young son are walking peacefully on the sidewalk, without a care in the world. The little boy then points to the sky, saying he saw the angel from his textbook. The boy's mother looks up and is utterly horrified by what she sees atop the building. The angel in white armor then leaps from the roof, flying directly toward the defenseless child. Desperate, the woman screams her son's name as the monster attacks him with its claws. Out of nowhere, the bully Q appears, preparing a light spell in his hand to attack. With that, the angel is hit squarely by the magic and recoils from the impact of the surprise blow. The aggressor then turns to the creature with a confident smile, asking how it liked that attack. When the smoke from the attack clears, the bully is shocked to see the angel is gone. Suddenly, the creature appears behind him with a crazed look, ready to counterattack. The angel lunges forward with a vicious smile, baring its sharp teeth at the boy. Q screams in terror and falls to the ground, unable to dodge the enemy's swift attack. He looks to the side and is shocked to see a concrete post snapped in half right beside him. The bully realizes that if it weren't for the post, he would have been torn in two by the angel. The creature then tosses the little boy Yuta into the air, preparing to end his life. The boy plummets toward the ground, seemingly with no chance of surviving the fall. Desperate, the boy's mother screams her son's name and reaches out, trying to catch him. But before he hits the ground, someone grabs the collar of his shirt with immense force. The protagonist saves the boy and tosses him to Asai, who catches him safely in mid-air. The girl compliments the young man's good catch as he prepares to face the angel alone. The former Demon King cracks his knuckles and stretches, showing he's ready for battle. With a confident smile, he says this fight will be a perfect way to test his new body. The angel is taken aback by the human's audacity and stares at him with a look of confused irritation. The protagonist breaks into a malicious grin, preparing to go all out against the enemy. The creature becomes irritated and lets out a loud snarl, showing its displeasure with the situation. The black-winged angel then approaches the students with a threatening, hate-filled gaze. Frightened, the bully says he can't believe his magic didn't work on the monster. With a dark aura, our hero says he'll start with a little warm-up before the fight. Suddenly, he senses the arrival of someone new and silently observes the scene. A man appears, yelling for the students to get away from the battle immediately for their own safety. He introduces himself as Makoto Sato, the leader of the 2nd Assault Unit, and tells them to leave it to him. The rescued civilian is happy and relieved to see the subjugation team has finally arrived. The former Demon King observes the newcomers, thinking they are the knights of this new era. With a curious look, he turns to the team leader and challenges him to show what he's got. The warrior checks his watch and sees the nearest backup won't arrive for another 10 minutes. Despite this, he isn't fazed and tells his companions that he will be fighting alongside them. The leader then calls for Sakuraba-kun, and the girl responds with a loud and determined highs. He asks for her cover, stating they'll buy time until reinforcements arrive in the city. The team leader then draws his weapon, preparing to fire at the angel with a serious look. He fires several energy shots that hit the monster head on, knocking it backward. But the creature recovers quickly and lunges forward to attack the warrior with its claws. The protagonist observes the fight, seemingly very interested in the knight's abilities. Asahi draws her sword and rushes to aid her leader in the battle against the winged foe. With a swift motion, she prepares to slice the angel with her sharp and powerful blade. However, the monster catches the sword with its bare hand, effortlessly stopping the girl's attack. Asahi is completely stunned, unable to believe her blow was stopped so easily. The team leader then seizes the opportunity and prepares to attack the angel from behind. With a precise cut, he strikes the enemy's back with his sword for all to see. The angel lets out a cry of pain as it's wounded by the skilled warrior's surprise attack. Next, the soldier lands a powerful kick to the creature's face, sending it flying. Asahi wastes no time, firing her energy weapon to provide support for her leader. The warrior then leaps over the angel, preparing for a combined aerial attack with his partner. With that, the two fire their energy attacks simultaneously, hitting the monster squarely. Despite the combined attacks, the angel appears to have suffered no serious damage. Asahi says they don't have enough firepower and apologizes for not being stronger. The team leader is frustrated by the situation and seems very concerned about the battle. He then explains that to take down an angel, the standard procedure requires at least 3 members. The two warriors remain on high alert as the angel slowly advances toward them on the street. The creature lunges forward, attempting to land a powerful kick on the assault team leader. But before the blow can connect, the protagonist appears and stops the kick with a single hand. Asahi and her leader are utterly shocked to see the young man stop such a powerful attack. The former Demon King glares at the angel, poised to counter the attack. The winged monster is confused and surprised by the young student's unexpected strength. The protagonist then effortlessly throws the angel aside, showcasing his superiority in the fight. With a smile, he says he'll lend a hand since they seem to be in a tough spot. The team leader shouts for the trainee to stay back, but he doesn't seem to be listening. Asahi then interjects that he could be a great help, and that perhaps they should trust in his power. The warrior is surprised by the girl's confidence and gives her a very suspicious look. The team leader seems to agree with the girl, but still has his reservations about the situation. He then warns the young man that he can only provide support from the rear, and nothing more. But the protagonist completely ignores the order and advances toward the angel with a smile. The winged monster is startled by his speed, wondering how he got there so quickly. The creature then braces for combat, clenching its fist tightly to attack the young man. In the blink of an eye, the two clash in midair, creating a massive impact wave in the sky. Asahi and her leader are left speechless, unable to believe the incredible power of their aerial combat. The shockwave from the battle then slams into the ground, kicking up a cloud of dust. Following this, the angel is thrown forcefully and crashes to the ground, sending up debris from the street. The warrior is completely bewildered, unable to understand what just happened before his eyes. The former Demon King floats in the air, enveloped in a dark aura, and prepares for his next move. He then points his hand toward the fallen enemy to finish the fight once and for all. With that, the young man fires a super powerful blast of purple energy at the monster on the ground. The protagonist then lands calmly as the other two watch him in silence. Stunned by the scene, the leader asks who on earth he really is to possess such power. The protagonist tells the leader to be quiet and get into a battle stance. At that moment, the angel recovers and lets out a cry of pure fury, its expression unhinged. The creature then soars high into the sky, preparing for a new assault against the warriors. It concentrates a large amount of golden energy in its hands with a wicked smile. Next, the monster fires 2 powerful beams of light toward everyone down below. Seeing the danger, the team leader yells for his companions to create a protective shield. Asahi and her leader then join forces to create a magical barrier against the enemy's attack. Suddenly, another student appears, announcing she will also help defend her friends. The 3 then unite their powers to try and withstand the massive blow approaching them. The angel's attack explodes with a light so intense it illuminates the entire city street. Their energy barrier is then hit squarely by the enemy's incredibly powerful attack. But the force is so great that the 2 girls are thrown to the ground by the impact. One of the students lies on the ground, seemingly without the strength to continue fighting. The angel's attack then demolishes the top of a building, causing a huge explosion. Dantirio then appears and easily blocks the remainder of the attack with his dark magic. With his eyes glowing, the former Demon King faces the approaching light attack. His dark energy then completely consumes the enemy's blow in a purple explosion. As a result, the angel feels the pain of the counterattack and clutches its now injured arm. Seeing this, the student on the ground celebrates happily, shouting that they finally won. However, the winged monster begins to heal rapidly, preparing to fight again on the street. The girl is shocked and terrified upon realizing the battle isn't truly over. She then watches as the creature's wings completely regenerate right before her eyes. The angel soars into the sky as the team leader watches from below with great concern. The warrior shouts that he will protect everyone and tells them to fight while falling back. But the protagonist cracks a smirk and says there's no need for that. Enveloped in his dark aura, he declares he will teach them the proper way to defeat an angel. The former Demon King tells them to watch very carefully what happens next. With that, he calmly walks toward the monster standing in the middle of the street. Each of the young man's steps seems heavy, making the ground tremble slightly with his imposing presence. He glares at the enemy with a serious and determined look, ready to end this fight. The angel lunges forward with a powerful strike and a malicious smile on its face. But the protagonist stops the blow with a single hand, displaying his superior strength. With a smirk, he rips off the enemy's arm without any difficulty. The creature lets out a pained groan at having its limb torn off in such a way. The former Demon King tosses the arm aside as the monster backs away in fear. But to everyone's surprise, the angel's arm begins to regenerate completely. Dantirio explains that even the weakest angels possess a high level of regeneration. The team leader loses hope, saying that, just as he suspected, they can't win. Asahi and the other girl wear very worried expressions regarding the current situation. The creature then recovers and prepares to launch a new attack against them. A massive golden magic circle appears surrounding the winged monster's body. It then raises its hand to the sky and begins to gather an immense amount of power. With that, the sky darkens and a thunderstorm begins to form overhead. A gigantic bolt of lightning then crashes down from the sky toward the former Demon King. But the protagonist merely faces the blow with a smile, showing he is not afraid. The young man simply deflects the lightning with his hand and continues walking toward the enemy. The creature is completely stunned, unable to understand how he managed to avoid the attack. Asahi exclaims that he deflected the lightning magic, and the other girl says it's impossible. Dantirio then explains that there is a limit to an angel's magical regeneration. With that, he concentrates a small sphere of dark energy on the tip of his index finger. Next, the young man fires a very thin beam of purple power toward his opponent. The team leader is shocked, wondering what on earth the boy just did. The angel's body then begins to crack in numerous places like shattered glass. The girl notices that the monster's regeneration is now much slower than before that hit. The hero explains that if they constantly let the angel heal, they will eventually exhaust themselves. But the leader grumbles that the young man doesn't seem the least bit tired by the situation. The creature lets out a snarl of pure fury, glaring at the protagonist with immense hatred. In the blink of an eye, Dantirio appears before the monster and grabs its face forcefully. He explains that the enemy's magical power is concentrated in its head and also its chest. With that, the former Demon King plunges his hand into the angel's chest to end the fight. With a crazed look, he attacks the monster's head and chest simultaneously. With an unhinged cry, he destroys the enemy's vital points once and for all. He then explains that if both vital points are destroyed, the angel can no longer regenerate. With his face smudged, he mockingly asks if the lesson was helpful for the others. The leader and the girls are left speechless, completely shocked by the scene they witnessed. The bully Kai is terrified, unable to believe the power he has just seen. The leader says it was incredible, adding that knowing the secret and actually doing it are two different things. He then adds that this is something only the 5 strongest in the world could accomplish. He claims he already knew, insisting Mizukami must be cheating somehow to be so strong. The protagonist then wipes his face, seeming to feel the awareness of a human body for the first time. The warrior thanks him for saving everyone and asks who he really is. With a smile, the young man says his name is Dantirio, and that he is the great Demon King. The leader is completely baffled, repeating the words, Demon King, without any understanding. He then ignores the response and decides to check the student's information on his watch. The screen displays Mizukami Dea's photo, and the leader asks if that is truly his name. The leader states they must fight together again, hoping to work with him in the future. The brown-haired girl gets excited, saying this is like being officially recruited. Meanwhile, Asahi stares at the protagonist with her arms crossed, a displeased expression on her face. She then grinds her teeth in anger, seeming very irritated with the whole situation. The other student timidly approaches the young man and calls his name to talk for a moment. She asks how he suddenly became so strong, as he used to be a failure just like her. The former Demon King repeats the words suddenly, seeming not to grasp the meaning of her question. He then turns to the group, who are staring at him in silence, awaiting a proper answer. The young man explains with an air of superiority that it's because he awakened as the Demon King. The girl just gives an awkward smile and says she understands, even though she doesn't believe it. Asahi and the team leader, however, look as if they didn't understand a word of his bizarre response. The student then asks if it's possible for her to become as strong as him one day. The protagonist places a hand on his chin, seeming to ponder the girl's question for a moment. Suddenly, his eyes glow an intense blue as he observes her carefully. He then sees the girl's potential and states with a serious look that she indeed has talent. The girl is overjoyed and asks with sparkling eyes if he is being serious. He confirms this, saying that with the right training, she can become much stronger in the future. Abruptly, Dantirio senses a strange presence and becomes alert to his surroundings. With that, he whirls around and desperately shouts for Asahi to run as fast as she can. The girl is completely confused, not understanding her classmate's sudden warning at all. A strange eye then appears in the darkness, staring at the student with a menacing look. Out of nowhere, a new angel emerges and attacks the girl with its super sharp claws. Seeing the danger, the protagonist points his finger and prepares for a swift counter-attack. The new enemy is hit squarely in the face by the dark magic and recoils from the impact. The former Demon King then starts giving orders to the creature as if it were a dog. In response, the winged monster begins to writhe in pain, letting out cries of agony on the ground. It then clutches its head tightly and cracks a crazed smile, its eyes glowing green. The creature then tears off its own face, showing it is completely unhinged. Asahi hides and watches the scene in shock, as she didn't sense the enemy's approach. She turns again, wondering where the monster went as it vanished out of nowhere. Suddenly, the creature appears right behind the protagonist, who is unfazed by its presence. The former Demon King just offers a slight smirk, showing that he was expecting that. With a quick and precise punch, he strikes the monster's face with great force and without mercy. The blow is so powerful it sends the creature flying with no chance to defend or retaliate. A cloud of dust then rises as the angel hits the ground hard, but the enemy teleports, reappearing elsewhere on the street, incredibly fast and without a scratch. Dantirio wonders if that was teleportation, noting they didn't have that in the distant past. Meanwhile, the team leader and the girls can only watch the fight from a distance, terrified. The young man then breaks into a wicked smile, finding the whole situation quite interesting. The creature glares at the protagonist with a look of hatred, preparing for a real battle. With a crazed look, it says that body is interesting and that it will investigate it up close. The leader and Asai are shocked to see a second angel appear out of nowhere before them. The warrior explains that angels typically only appear a few times a year in the world. Asai then checks her watch and states the new enemy is not on the official angel list. She shouts that it's a new type, and the leader says such things only exist in books from 100 years ago. With a dark aura and a malicious smile, the protagonist faces his new opponent. The angel then notices the dark aura and seems very surprised by the situation. In the background, the bully Kai is terrified, unable to believe what he is seeing. But the creature cracks a wicked smile, showing it's ready for combat. The protagonist then leaps backward, preparing for the battle that's about to begin. However, the monster ignores the young man and lunges with all its might toward the other students. With that, the bully Q screams in terror as the enemy's claws appear right in front of him. But before he is caught, Dentirio appears and stops the attack with a single hand. With a smile, he then throws the creature aside without any difficulty. The blow is so strong that the monster flies across the street, kicking up a cloud of dust. Following this, the creature's body seems to disintegrate in an explosion of purple energy. The former Demon King then cracks a smile, announcing that he will be its opponent in this fight. However, the winged monster reappears in the sky, seemingly having suffered no serious damage. The creature then raises its hand and begins to prepare a new magic attack against him. An intense glow then fills the area as the angel unleashes its full power. With a smile, the protagonist prepares a light attack in his hand for the combat. He faces the enemy with a confident look, ready to demonstrate his strength against it. The creature then appears behind him ready to strike, but the young man was already prepared. The monster lunges with its claws, but the former Demon King stops the blow with a single finger. He holds the enemy's blade with impressive ease and no apparent effort. The hero then remarks that the angel has a rare ability and should use it more creatively. Suddenly, the protagonist grabs the monster's hands, which begin to glow intensely on the street. The creature is surprised and angered by the bold attitude of its small opponent. With a swift movement, he lands a powerful blow right in the winged creature's chest. Next, a strange portal opens, and the young man appears to be in another dimension for a second. He then reappears and grabs the angel's face with immense force to prevent its escape. The monster is completely stunned, unable to understand what is happening. A drop of sweat runs down the creature's face, showing it is terrified of the situation. The former Demon King states he won't let the enemy escape and traps it with his dark aura. The team leader is shocked, wondering if the boy managed to block its teleportation. With a victorious smile, the protagonist says he has finally found what he was looking for. He then rips a strange object from the angel, declaring it the secret to its teleportation. With the object destroyed, the enemy's body slowly begins to dissolve into particles of light. In that moment, he remembers his former life as the powerful and feared Demon King of old. He recalls when the angels first appeared, emerging from strange portals. The beings in white armor wore malicious smiles and seemed poised for destruction. The young man then realizes that the object's material is very similar to that of a magic door. With a serious look, he thinks to himself that this information is more than enough. Back in the fight, the former Demon King holds the enemy's head with a crazed smile. He then lands a super powerful punch right in the middle of the winged creature's chest. The protagonist then plunges his hand into the monster's eye to finish it off once and for all. With a swift movement, he rips out the enemy's power core without any mercy. Following this, a massive explosion of dark energy occurs, completely consuming the angel's body. With the battle finished, he just gives a thumbs up to the others, signaling that everything is okay. The team leader and the two girls stand in silence, completely stunned by the scene. The team leader and the girls wonder what kind of absurd strength they just witnessed. The warrior then thinks to himself that this was the young man's first true battle. Meanwhile, the bully Q panics, completely terrified by the situation. The leader notes that freezing and fear is normal, but it seems one person there wasn't scared. The protagonist then points to Asai, who had been standing calmly, observing the entire scene. With a smile, the warrior explains to the young man that this girl is very special. He reveals that even the instructors call her the Berserker among the trainees. Asai is completely embarrassed and ashamed of the nickname she just heard, but the leader says that even so, the protagonist is on a level far beyond hers. With a confident smile, the young man says he already told them he was the powerful Demon King. The warrior begins to laugh, mockingly asking if Demon King is his new nickname. But then he gets serious, saying he almost wants to believe it, because the young man's strength is unnatural. The former Demon King warns that if they are surprised by this level, they won't be able to defeat them. Confused by the response, the team leader asks the boy who he is talking about. The protagonist then explains that the true power of the angels is far beyond what they've just seen. The leader replies that might have been true in the past, but nowadays, humans can handle the threat. Hearing this, the protagonist is shocked, thinking their perception of the angels is far too weak. The other girls are relieved and celebrate the end of the battle as the group reconvenes. Suddenly, Asai approaches the young man and calls his name to speak with him privately. She then asks him to train her, because as she is now, she can't defeat the angels alone. With a determined cry, the girl declares that she must win this long battle, no matter what. The scene reminds him of Jean, his former battle companion and great friend from the past. Seeing the girl's determination, the former Demon King allows a small smile to form. With that, he accepts her request, saying the training can begin whenever she is ready. He then thinks that if she is Jane's reincarnation, she still has a lot of room to grow. Asahi is overjoyed with his response, while the bully Q watches them from afar with intense anger. The aggressor grinds his teeth in hatred, appearing to plot something terrible against our hero. The team leader approaches, staring at the protagonist with a very serious and suspicious look. The bully then wonders what kind of trick Mizukami used to get so strong so suddenly. Suddenly, he seems to have an idea, thinking he understands why the young man nearly passed on before. He then cracks a wicked smile, concluding that the young man's strength must come from magic-enhancing drugs. The scene then shifts to the school's training ground, where students are fighting against robots. In the background, the former Demon King calmly watches the others train with a serene expression. On a bench lie the anti-angel weapons known as magic swords used by the trainees. The training robots then face the students, their eyes glowing, ready for combat. At that moment, a girl picks up one of the magic swords and activates it, releasing a pink blade of light. The robot emits a sound as the numbers 124 and 132 appear. With a leap, the student prepares to strike the robot with a powerful blow from above. She then lets out a battle cry, preparing to unleash all her strength in the attack. With that, the girl strikes the robot's head with full force, destroying it in a single blow. The robot appears dizzy, its eyes spinning, before being completely defeated by the student. The scoreboard then displays the number 672 as the result of the girl's attack. With the test complete, she sighs in relief and checks her score on a holographic screen. Observing the scene, the protagonist picks up one of the magic swords to begin his own training. He then activates the weapon, and a blue blade of light emerges from the hilt with an intense glow. With a smile, he notes that the weapon amplifies magic and transforms it into an energy blade. Asahi is surprised by the sight, wondering what on earth that blue blade of light is. She then realizes the blade is incredibly long and is completely shocked by his power. The girl asks if it's about 3 meters long, and he replies that he made a promise after all. With a confident smile, the young man says he's going to have some fun testing his skills. The training robot stares at the giant blue blade of light with a terrified expression. The training robot emits a strange sound, seeming very frightened by the young man's giant weapon. Suddenly, the machine's eyes start blinking uncontrollably, indicating a system error. Its eyes then turn red, and the maximum score of 9,999 appears. Asahi is completely stunned and shouts, wondering if he hit the machine's maximum limit. The protagonist just examines the magic sword and remarks that it's a very convenient item to use. The girl then explains that the weapon was created to fight angels, as normal ones are ineffective. With a suspicious look, she asks if he didn't learn about that in his school classes. The young man is confused by the question, wondering if he actually did learn about it. In that moment, he remembers the old Daya, who spent countless hours studying alone in the library. Back in the present, the hero grips the weapon tightly, saying it's powerful, but there's a catch. He then squeezes the magic sword's handle harder, preparing to make his point. With that, the blue blade of light shines intensely, appearing much stronger than before. The former Demon King then strikes the training robot with a super powerful vertical slash. The weapon hits the robot's head, creating an energy explosion that completely engulfs the machine. The power of the attack is so great that the handle of the magic sword shatters in his hands. He explains that for someone with immense magic, the weapon becomes a limitation and tosses the handle away. The training robot's head is damaged, and its eyes show it has been defeated. The machine then explodes into pieces and falls to the ground, completely destroyed by the blow. The anti-angel sword simply couldn't withstand the user's amount of magical power. Asahi then suggests he should stop using the sword and focus on improving his own magic. The other student is incredibly excited by his method and looks at him with a blushing face. With that, she opens her arms and shouts, asking the young man to teach her to be strong as well. The girl says with great enthusiasm that she also wants to become much more powerful than before. Seeing this, Asahi just lets out a tired sigh with a grumpy look on her face. She then asks her classmate if the normal training regimen isn't sufficient for her level. The student looks a little discouraged by the question but doesn't seem to mind the comment much. At that moment, she remembers Dantirio saying she had talent and blushes at the memory. Asahi is completely confused, wondering why she is calling the young man Daya. The former Demon King just smiles and says it's fine, as he will help her train. The girl is overjoyed with his answer, her eyes sparkling with flowers appearing around her. But the protagonist says that before they begin, he needs to do one small thing with her. He then touches the student's cheek, who is surprised and confused by the sudden action. The young man's touch makes her blush deeply, and her heart starts beating much faster than normal. With that, she lets out a strange moan, as if feeling something very intense in her body. Suddenly, the girl collapses to her knees, as if she can't handle what he just did. Asahi gets worried and shouts, asking what on earth he did to their poor classmate. The hero explains that her magic flow is blocked, and he just cleared it up a bit. On the ground, the girl pants heavily, her face completely red with embarrassment. With his task complete, the young man turns and starts walking away from the two students. He then picks up another magic sword from the bench to continue training his own way. He then tosses the magic sword toward the other student to begin the training. The girl is startled by the object flying her way and braces herself to catch it. With a bit of difficulty, she manages to firmly grip the weapon's handle with both hands. The young man tells her to use the weapon, but the student says she's never been able to activate one before. The protagonist simply tells her to try, while Asahi watches the scene with suspicion. With that, the girl concentrates, mustering all her strength to try and activate the magic sword. The weapon then begins to emit some very intense and bright pink energy sparks. Suddenly, a pink blade of light emerges from the hilt, leaving the student very surprised. She is overjoyed and exclaims that she finally managed to activate the magic sword for the first time. Asahi is shocked, wondering how her classmate managed to do that so easily. The girl explains that in her class, only the upperclassman Sakuraba could use the weapon. The protagonist then points to the robot and tells her to try hitting it with a strike. With a confident smile, the student prepares to test her new power in training. She faces the training robot, preparing for the attack with a very determined look. With a battle cry, the girl strikes the machine's head with her pink light sword. The robot then displays a score of 112, surprising everyone there. The student is completely shocked and delighted with the result she just achieved. The former Demon King just gives the girl a thumbs up, showing that she did well. Asahi is speechless. When she first used the sword, her result was nothing like that. In a memory, she recalls that her first score was only 89. Seeing the result, Asahi shouts, asking the protagonist to help her train as well. The former Demon King then turns to the girl with a very serious expression on his face. With his eye glowing blue, he tells the student that won't be necessary for her. He explains that her magic is already flowing cleanly throughout her body. With tears in her eyes, the girl asks if this means she can't get any stronger. She is completely dejected by his answer and stares at the ground with a sad expression. With a smile, the young man clarifies that she can't get stronger with that same method. He then reveals that he has a special training regimen prepared just for her. Several training robots are then shown in the gym, ready for combat. The girl asks in confusion if there's a training menu just for her, looking at him from a distance. The protagonist tells her to increase her magical power to the absolute limit. Asahi and the other student agree to the order, even without understanding the young man's plan. With that, the girl concentrates and begins to gather a massive amount of magical power. She then lets out a battle cry, releasing all her energy in a powerful pink aura. The former Demon King just calmly watches the scene and slowly raises his hand. Suddenly, he places his hand on the girl's head as she unleashes her full power. The other student starts to giggle at the scene, seeming to enjoy her friend's special training. With a flushed face, she continues to watch the situation with a very excited smile. The young man's hand then begins to glow, interacting with the student's energy aura. Asahi is left breathless and confused, not understanding what on earth he just did to her. Suddenly, the girl hunches forward into a very strange and awkward position. With an expression of pain, she shouts that she can't move her body at all. With that, the student collapses to her knees, her magical power completely depleted. Panting and with a flushed face, she wonders if all her magic was drained by him. The other student exclaims she has never heard of a technique like that in her life. The former Demon King then clenches his fist, which glows with the pink energy he absorbed. He then says, and this, while holding all the magical energy he just took from her. Without wasting time, the young man places his hand back on the girl's head to transfer the power. The other student cries out in surprise, seeing him do it again to her friend. A pink aura surrounds them both as the protagonist returns all the magical energy to her. The girl lets out some strange moans, feeling the power suddenly surging back into her body. Her eyes glow intensely with the amount of energy she is receiving. With a serious look, the young man asks the student how she is feeling now. The girl appears to be in a daze from the whole bizarre and intense situation. She then stands up, shocked to realize her magic is slowly recovering. Her classmate shouts that absorbing and transferring magic goes against every known theory. The protagonist then asks her what kind of incorrect theory she is talking about. Asahi keeps her head down, looking very embarrassed by the whole special training. With a serious look, the young man points at the girl and tells her to do it all over again. The student is completely horrified by the order and can't believe what she just heard. He explains that the method depletes and then recovers magic, increasing the user's total capacity. The two girls remain silent, completely shocked by the bizarre explanation of the method. With a bead of sweat on her face, Asahi asks if it's true and if the method really works. The other student explains that depleting magic can have side effects, which is why it's forbidden. But the protagonist laughs and mockingly asks if people actually believe that nonsense. With a serious look, he reveals that this is exactly how he trained to become so strong. He then faces Asahi and asks what she is going to do, and if she will accept the special training. The girl remains silent for a moment, appearing to make a very difficult and risky decision. With a flushed face, she looks at the young man, seeming to have finally reached a conclusion. With that, she accepts the challenge and says with determination, "Please, I'm in." The former Demon King cracks a smirk, showing that he liked her courageous answer. He then announces that to start, they will repeat the process 100 times a day without rest. The student is completely shocked, her eyes wide, unable to believe what she just heard. She shouts 100 times, and he just gives a thumbs up and asks if she's ready. Though terrified by the number, the girl nods and accepts the challenge. The student's hand then begins to glow with an intense pink light, preparing for the training. And so, the training begins with the girl on her knees on the ground, her body hunched over. The young man then absorbs her magic once more, his hand glowing with a pink hue. He then returns the energy and Asai stands up, shocked by the instant recovery. His hand glows intensely as he continues the process of transferring magical power. The student lets out a groan of pure exhaustion, her face flushed and sweaty from the training. 3 hours later, Asai has collapsed on the ground, completely exhausted and breathless with no strength left. The protagonist looks down at her, says that was only 20 repetitions of the special training. With a sigh, he states that for now, that's enough for the first day. The other student then approaches the young man with a very worried expression. He then asks the girl if she has ever gone through this type of training before. She replies that she's never even heard of this method in the official members' training. The young man understands and asks what kind of organization the Angel Suppression Team is. The student is super excited by the question and says she will explain everything to him. She explains that talented teenagers are gathered in special training schools. If they get good grades, they join one of the 5 teams in the world, with Japan having 100 members. The former Demon King finds the number quite low and seems a bit disappointed by the information. The girl says that out of 100 students per year, at most a few become regular team members. She adds that it's a popular profession because of the good salary and benefits. At that moment, the young man remembers the battle against the Angel and the assault team leader. The memory shows him in the warrior side by side during the combat against the winged monster. He thinks that they are the elite, yet even the experienced ones only possess that level of power. The protagonist then reflects on the nonsense that depleting one's magic is harmful. He also considers the magic sword, which is an apparently excellent tool for combat. And finally, he remembers the appearance of the new type of angel and seems to understand the situation. With this, he thinks that the current situation is very similar to something from his distant past. He then recalls when the angels began their great offensive 600 years ago. Seeing the memory, he realizes he needs to increase the number of strong warriors for the coming fight. The girls watch him as he thinks that he needs at least one more powerful ally. The young man becomes furious, telling himself he cannot repeat the mistakes of the past. He then concludes that the best course of action is to join the team and train everyone from within. With a confident smile, he declares he will become a regular member right now. The scene then shifts to a classroom at the training school the next morning. The protagonist and the 2 girls arrive late, drawing the attention of the other students. Aizahai is focused on her notes when a hand suddenly appears in front of her. She then tells the protagonist that he is late for the morning class again. With a smirk, he replies that he was late because he was in a meeting with the principal. The girl is completely baffled by his answer and asks why he would do that. The young man just tells her to wait, as she will soon understand the reason for all of this. Suddenly, a man in a suit enters the classroom and gets everyone's attention. The other students in the room seem very bored with the situation and pay him no mind. One of the students even yawns, showing he has no interest in the man's announcement. The man then holds a clipboard and prepares to make a very important announcement to the class. He announces that a training match to become a regular member will be held next week. Hearing this, the students start whispering among themselves, surprised by the unexpected news. 2 students are both worried and surprised by the sudden announcement. The brown-haired girl then remarks that this was very unexpected for everyone. The man explains the match is an order from the principal and announces the first combat of the day. He reveals the fight will be between Yamazaki Kaio and Momiyama Mizuki, leaving both of them shocked. He then announces the second fight, which will be between Sakuraba Asahai and our protagonist. With that, the entire classroom falls silent, completely stunned by the announcements. Asahai then turns to the young man and asks with a serious look just what he has done. The former Demon King just cracks a smug smile, showing it's all part of his plan. The scene then flashes back to the principal's office, where the young man is speaking with the older man. The principal observes the student's information on a large holographic screen before him. The screen displays the young man's entire academic history, which is not good for a student. With a serious look, the principal says he cannot recommend him with such low grades. The man states he would be recognized if he had combat skills, but he has none. The hero then asks if he just needs to demonstrate his power, regardless of his poor grades. The principal seems to consider the boy's proposal for a moment with a very suspicious look. The former Demon King stares at the man with a serious and determined gaze, awaiting an answer. With a slight smile, the principal seems to have an idea for testing the student's power. He then points to Asai's profile on the holographic screen and makes a proposal to the young man. The principal says that if he can defeat Sakuraba Asahai in a fight, he might reconsider his request. The protagonist asks if a victory will finally earn him the man's recommendation. The principal cracks a slight smile, saying he can't make any promises to the young man. With a serious expression, the man continues to discuss his final decision. The hero states he will train Momiyama to win her fight against the bully Yamazaki Kyu. The man begins to laugh, finding it absurd that the two worst students could beat the best in the class. But the young man wagers his expulsion from the school if he fails to fulfill his promise. The principal becomes thoughtful and adjusts his glasses, seeming to analyze the student's proposal. Dantirio adds that it would be better for him to accept, as he wants to keep the hospitalization secret. The principal glares at the holographic screen with a very irritated expression. The screen shows the hospitalization was for a drug overdose, used to cover up the bullying case. The man sets the condition that both must win, thinking this would be a way to get rid of them. He then confirms that for the recommendation, both of them need to be victorious in their matches. With his arms crossed, the former Demon King says the condition is completely acceptable to him. Back in the classroom, the other students continue to whisper about the unexpected announcements. Kai furiously shouts that his opponent is the failure girl and that they have greatly underestimated him. The other students watch the scene, seemingly agreeing with their classmates' outrage. He says that if this gets him recommended for the team, it will be an easy task. A student with an eye patch grumbles that he doesn't like the idea but will do as he's told. Kai then points to Dantirio, declaring that after he beats the girl, he'll be next. Mizuki is terrified and looks at her new mentor with a very worried expression. With a smile, the young man tells the girl not to worry and not to look so sad. With his arms crossed, he assures her that if she completes his training, she will definitely win. The girl nods nervously as the bully Ki glares with pure hatred. Aizahai then says she is also looking forward to their fight next week. With a smile, she says she will try to get at least a little stronger for their match. The man then calls the names of Momoyama and Mizukami to give a final important warning. He asks the two students to be very careful not to get hurt during the fight, but Asahi says they're the ones who need to be careful, and Ki gets angry that she said, "We." The announcer starts to laugh out loud, finding the whole situation very amusing. He then says with a smile that it seems Sakuraba has started telling jokes. With that, Dantirio and Mizuki look at each other for a moment, the girl appearing very nervous. Asahi and Kyo, on the other hand, exchange tense glances, preparing for the upcoming combat. The scene then shifts to the training field, where the hero stands before his new student. He asks if she is good at barrier magic, and the girl replies it's the only thing she knows how to do. The student then adds that it must be because she is very cowardly, looking dejected. But the young man gives a thumbs up, saying that's the correct instinct for any living being. He continues explaining that strength lies in overcoming fear with both skill and logic. With tears in her eyes, the girl calls him Lord Dea, showing her admiration. The protagonist then reveals that against Yamazaki, they will win using barrier magic. The student shouts in shock, as the fight is one-on-one and barrier magic is only for delaying. With a dark aura, he vows to teach those fools how the effectiveness of magic depends on the user. The scene then shifts to the school's open battle tournament the following week. Several important school officials are seated in the stands to watch the fights. The announcer explains that the winner is the one who forces their opponent to give up or be knocked out. He then warns he will stop the fight if he deems the situation too dangerous. Mizuki stares at her opponent with a terrified expression, while he looks at her with contempt. With that, the announcer declares the start of the match between Momoyama Mizuki and Yamazaki Kyu. The bully wastes no time, charging forward and shouting that he will end this fight quickly. But the girl raises her hand, creating a pink magic barrier to protect herself from his attack. The aggressor's blow then slams into the barrier, causing a large explosion of light in the arena. Even with the force of the attack, the student manages to keep her magic barrier strong. Kai becomes furious, shouting that it's not enough to stop him, and prepares another strike. In the stands, other students comment that Yamazaki's power is simply overwhelming. The bully yells for her to stay put forever as the girl struggles to maintain her defense. She then remembers the plan and quickly draws a magic circle on the ground with her fingers. With the circle complete, the girl shouts, "Here," activating the trap she prepared for him. An energy blade then shoots up from the ground, speeding toward the aggressor. Next, the energy transforms into a pink sphere that floats toward her opponent. The energy sphere is then enveloped by a dark and sinister aura in the battle arena. But to everyone's surprise, the sphere splits in two and narrowly misses its target. Kai shouts in shock, unable to believe the girl's trap failed to connect. Suddenly, the girl launches multiple energy spheres from her barrier toward her opponent. The spheres then explode, creating a thick smoke screen that covers the entire arena. With a determined look, the student continues to generate smoke for her next move. The smoke becomes increasingly dense, making it impossible to see anything in the arena. Ki gets irritated and shouts that a smoke screen is useless, preparing to attack. With a battle cry, he fires a blast of energy to disperse all the smoke. Mizuki then creates a very strong wall of pink light to defend against the bully's blow. Her eyes glow intensely as she holds back the attack with all her might. A massive explosion of light occurs, but the girl manages to withstand the aggressor's strike. The announcer is surprised by the scene, and the smoke seems to be obstructing his view of the fight. With a serious expression, he tries to understand what is happening amidst all the smoke. He points toward the arena, trying to see what is happening down there between the two. From within the smoke, the girl casts another spell with a red magic circle in her hand. Kai was annoyed with the situation and clearly dislikes the girl's strategy. He then charges into the smoke and manages to locate his opponent. The student then turns, facing him through a wall of pink light right in front of her. She then shouts, "Now," and activates another trap she had prepared for her opponent. Kai feels a sharp pain in his back and lets out a small groan in the arena. He wonders what that is and why something like remote barrier maintenance even exists. Mizuki shouts, pleading for the trap to work, and pours all her strength into the spell. The scene then flashes back to their training, where he tells her to fold the barrier in half. The student cries out in shock, saying she can't possibly do something so impossible. She then says that it defies the laws of magic, but he just stares at her with a serious look. The young man then demonstrates, raising his hand to teach her the special technique. He creates a purple barrier and folds it in half as if it were a simple sheet of paper. The girl is completely amazed, saying it was very cool to see up close. Back in the arena, the student concentrates, trying to use the technique she learned from him. With some effort, she manages to fold the pink light barrier in front of everyone. She then shouts, "Whatever," and uses all her strength to complete the move at once. With that, the barrier folds completely, creating a triangular shape in the middle of the arena. One of the bullies watching the fight shouts in shock, wondering if she actually folded the barrier. The girl continues to manipulate the barrier's shape with her fingers in intense concentration. The pink barrier then closes, trapping the aggressor in a strong, triangular prison of light. Kai is left speechless, completely shocked and unable to understand how he was caught. The barrier then transforms into a triangle of pink light, trapping the bully inside. He shouts that it's a cheap trick and that the top is wide open. The student then raises her hand, preparing for the final blow of her battle strategy. At her command, a wall of pink light appears from nowhere, sealing the top of the magical prison. In the stands, Asahi cheers happily, seeing the bully finally caught in the trap. Kai is now completely trapped inside a cube of pink energy with no way out. Trapped, he desperately screams for the girl to let him out of the pink light prison. He continues to yell that the fight isn't fair and that he will never give up. With a smile, the girl says her fire magic is weak, but she can decrease the oxygen. The bully is stunned by this revelation and begins to panic inside the energy barrier. As the oxygen dwindles, he starts to have trouble breathing, desperately calling for help. Mizuki says she can maintain the barrier for a full day, and the aggressor loses all hope. With her hand on her face and blushing, she realizes she has finally won her first fight. The bully falls to his knees, screaming in rage at being defeated in such a humiliating way. He continues to shout that he can't believe he lost to someone like her in front of everyone. With a cry of pure fury, he refuses to accept defeat and tries to break free from the prison. With victory assured, the student simply watches her opponent struggle within the barrier. Suddenly, Kyu is enveloped in a golden light and begins to unleash all his magical power. He lets out a cry of agony as the golden energy completely consumes his body. The bully then fires a blast of light in an attempt to break the barrier and escape. The girl watches the scene, looking very concerned about her opponent's condition. The pink light barrier then begins to crack in several places from the force of his attack. Kai was panting, having seemingly spent all his energy on that last desperate attack. His eyes glow with an orange hue as he glares at the girl with a look of pure hatred. Mizuki is terrified and lets out a small cry of fear upon seeing her opponent's state. The student then braces for the worst, taking a step back in fear of the scene. Ki screams that the fight is over and prepares for a final attack against the girl. He then charges with all his might toward Mizuki, who seems to have no strength left to fight. The bully concentrates a large amount of golden energy in his hand for the blow. With a wicked smile, he prepares to strike the student's face with his magic. But the girl just closes her eyes with a small smile, showing no fear. Suddenly, she pulls out a hidden magic sword and activates it with a pink glow. The light blade then appears, striking the bully by surprise at close range. With that, the magic sword stops the aggressor's attack, leaving him completely shocked. With a flushed face and a serious look, she tells the young man that she had already won. He grumbles that a loser with a magic sword can't do anything against him. The announcer then raises his hand, preparing to declare the winner of the match. With the arena covered in smoke, he shouts that the match is decided and Momoyama has won. In the stands, Asahi applauds, celebrating her classmate's victory with a smile. The bully screams in rage as Mizuki bows from exhaustion after the long battle. The other students are shocked, wondering how she obtained a magic sword. The girl then slowly walks out of the arena, still recovering from the intense fight. She faces her mentor with a flushed face and a look of gratitude for all his help. With a smile, the young man tells her she did very well and praises his student's performance. Suddenly, the student faints from exhaustion and collapses into her master's arms. He holds her carefully as she thanks him one last time before passing out completely in his lap. The girl rests in her master's arms, completely exhausted but happy with her victory. The protagonist tells her to just sit and watch because now it's his turn to fight. With that, he and Asahi face each other in the battle arena, preparing for the second match of the day. In the stands, a student says it's impossible for Mizukami to defeat the powerful Sakuraba. But his friend reminds him of the other day's fight, asking if he didn't see the young man's power. In the arena, the two opponents continue to stare each other down in silence before the match begins. The former Demon King allows a small smirk, showing he is very confident. Asahi admits she doesn't think she can win, but she will fight with everything she has regardless. She then activates her sword, shouting that she will show the results of her special training. The principal observes the scene, thinking that the girl's skills have improved yet again. He says he didn't expect Yamazaki's defeat, but that the girl will surely win this one. With a wicked smile, he says she must win, as he has already recommended her to several organizations. The protagonist then stretches a bit, preparing for the combat that is about to begin. Suddenly, his hand is enveloped by an intense and powerful blue energy aura. With this, he creates a blue light blade in his hand without needing a magic sword to do so. With a smile, he says he'll play along, having adjusted his power to match Asahi's level. The girl thanks him for his consideration and charges forward to attack without wasting time. Their blades then clash in the middle of the arena with an intense glow of energy. One of the bullies is shocked, wondering if the young man just created a magic sword with his bare hands. The former Demon King then begins to overpower the girl's blade with his blue energy. The girl grinds her teeth, letting out a groan of effort, unable to move her blade an inch. With a swift movement, the protagonist sends the student flying with a strike from his sword. Even at a disadvantage, Asahi doesn't give up, declaring the fight isn't really over. With that, she charges once more toward the young man for a new attack with all her strength. With a battle cry, the girl prepares to show the power of her special training. The two then exchange a flurry of blows in the middle of the arena, their light swords clashing. The former Demon King watches her with a serious expression, seemingly analyzing her movements. Suddenly, the student's hand begins to slip from the handle of her magic sword. The young man seizes the opportunity, grabbing her arm tightly to disarm her for good. The girl tries to grip her weapon tighter, a red aura enveloping her hand on the handle. With a serious look, he stares at her up close, preparing for the next move of the fight. Suddenly, the protagonist grabs the pink light blade with his bare hand, showing no fear. Asahi cries out in shock, wondering if he really just caught the magic sword with his bare hands. She's completely frozen by the scene, her eyes widening in pure astonishment. With a single motion, he shatters the girl's blade and sends her flying with the impact. He then lands a powerful kick to her stomach, knocking her to the other side of the arena. The student clutches the broken handle of her sword and glares at her opponent with a look of anger. She then dashes away from him, trying to create some distance to think of a plan. The young man just watches her, asking what she will do now that she is completely unarmed. Abruptly, a gigantic mass of ice begins to form on the ceiling of the battle arena. The girl then creates an ice barrier to protect herself from her opponent's imminent attack. With a bead of sweat on her face, she prepares to defend against the blow with all her might. She lets out a groan of effort but manages to hold the barrier firm to defend herself. But the protagonist shouts that she is too slow and sends her flying with a powerful blow. He says it wasn't bad, but she can't win by just running from the fight the whole time. With a wicked smile, the girl agrees that he's right and seems to have a new plan in mind. The young man asks if she's going to give up, a slight smile on his face as he awaits her answer. But Asahi says no, and that with no more tricks, she will attack him with her most powerful technique. She then concentrates a massive amount of pink energy into the handle of her broken sword. With a battle cry, she declares she is putting all of her magic into this single attack. At her command, a blade of pink light and ice forms from the handle, preparing for the final blow. The student then creates a giant blade of pink energy to strike her opponent from a distance. The weapon grows larger and larger, appearing to have incredible destructive power. The former Demon King simply watches the attack approach with a very interested look. Suddenly, the girl's hair changes color, turning entirely pink from the amount of power. The giant blade then strikes the protagonist's ice barrier with a devastating impact. The pink energy collides with the ice, its heat slowly starting to melt the barrier. The young man then creates a blue light blade to defend against her super powerful attack. With some effort, he manages to hold back the blow, stopping the giant blade in mid-air. The two energies then clash, creating a power struggle in the middle of the battle arena. With that, the girl's blade begins to push back the young man's with overwhelming force. The shockwave from the impact is so strong it kicks up a cloud of dust in the arena. The spectators in the stands are shocked by the incredible power of the combat. The principal gives a thumbs up, saying that if she keeps this up, her reputation will skyrocket. Breathless and tired, the girl struggles to maintain the attack with all her strength. Suddenly, she realizes something is wrong, and her eyes widen in surprise. The student then realizes she can't move her arms and becomes desperate. Her giant pink light blade then dissolves into a small energy dagger. The protagonist remarks that it was a decent technique as he holds the dagger in his hand. The girl is completely stunned, unable to believe he stopped her ultimate attack. He then fires a pink light beam back at her, using the energy he absorbed. The students in the stands wonder if he took the hit and suffered no damage at all. The student becomes enraged with the situation, seeming to have lost all control. With her eyes glowing red, she prepares for a desperate attack against him. The young man just looks at her with a serious expression, holding the pink energy in his hand. He says it doesn't matter who she is, but she needs to let go of that hand now. With a confident smile, he prepares to show the true difference in their power. The protagonist then squeezes the pink energy, easily dissipating it in front of her. He tosses the beam of light into the air, making it vanish without any effort. The girl is left speechless, completely shocked and unable to understand how he did that. He explains that his magic and Asahi's are resonating, creating a connection between them. The girl's eyes glow intensely as she seems to be remembering something important. The protagonist then reveals himself in his true Demon King form to his old friend. With his glowing purple eyes, he looks at the girl with a serious and very familiar gaze. The scene then shows Jean looking up at Dantirio in the sky during his final moments. With wide eyes, the student wonders if the person before her is really him. With tears in her eyes, she calls his name and finally shouts, "You're Dantirio." The young man just looks at her, observing the pink light particles floating around him. With a small smile, he asks if she has finally remembered everything. The girl smiles back and says yes with great happiness and relief on her face. She then celebrates his successful reincarnation, and he just nods in agreement. The protagonist then asks her to tell him what happened after he departed from that world. The student puts a hand to her head, seeming to struggle to recall the past. With her eyes closed, she tries to force the memory but seems unable to remember anything. She then says she can't remember anything and becomes very frustrated with the situation. The young man approaches her, seeming to prepare to do something with his hand. He then places his hand on her face, trying to use his magic to help with the memory. The other student and Kai in the stands are shocked and confused by the scene. The protagonist then closes his eyes, concentrating to try and access the lost memories. Suddenly, an image of Jane with a furious expression appears amidst flames. In the memory, Jane is surrounded by 5 silhouettes of angels in the middle of a fire. The protagonist's eyes then widen, completely shocked by the vision he just had. The girl is confused, not understanding what just happened to him. He then realizes that the memories engraved in her soul were intentionally sealed. She asks why, and he replies that he doesn't know, placing a hand on his chin thoughtfully. The young man suggests that perhaps they should look for the 5 angels from his vision. He believes they might be the key to restoring Jane's lost memories. With a smile, the girl says that way they can also learn more about the angels. Suddenly, the announcer appears, asking the two what they are doing. He then turns to Asai and says he forfeits the match, leaving the girl very confused. The man asks if he is sure, and the protagonist looks at him with a serious expression. With a smile, the student says yes, and the announcer is shocked by her answer. The man then holds the young man's arm, preparing to announce the winner of the match. He raises the protagonist's arm and declares Dea Mizukami the winner of the fight. In the stands, the students wonder how the fight ended so abruptly. One of them says he can't believe Mizukami defeated the best student in the class so easily. The former Demon King and his friend then begin to climb the stairs to leave the arena. She calls him Dantiria but corrects herself, asking if calling him Dea is okay. With a slight smile, the young man says he doesn't mind and that she can call him whatever she likes. Suddenly, the girl stumbles on the stairs and almost falls, letting out a startled cry. The other student asks what's with the strange atmosphere between those two. Asahi asks what she is talking about, insisting the atmosphere is the same as always. Mizuki shouts that something is wrong and points at the young man with a very worried expression. She says Sakuraba always trained with the face of a demon, but now she's different. Blushing, Asahi asks, "So what?" looking very embarrassed by the comment. Mizuki exclaims that she looks like a girl in love, and Asahi denies it with great embarrassment. The two then start bickering as the protagonist and Ki just watch the scene. The former Demon King cracks a smile, seeming to be amused by the girl's argument. He then glances to the other side of the stands and sees the principal observing the scene. The principal is furious with the outcome of the fights and slams his hand on his chair in anger. Suddenly, the assault team leader appears, recommending both of them as official members. The man is shocked by the recommendation, unable to believe what he just heard. The leader says he knows he was planning to use Sakuraba as a political tool. He continues, saying the principal wanted to make her the strongest in history under his command. The principal is speechless, a bead of sweat on his face from the revelation of his plan. The warrior states the angels have been acting strangely, and they need to secure both students quickly. The man then reveals that Sakuraba was meant to be his gift to the team's American branch. The leader smiles, saying that 2 students skipping a grade would be good for the principal's record. The man then threatens to take only Mizukami, using his authority in the suppression team. The principal shouts that if that happens, Sakuraba's value will plummet completely. The principal shouts, asking if he thinks Mizukami, a failure, is more valuable than the powerful Sakuraba. The leader is shocked, wondering if the principal is really saying that after watching the fight. He remarks that the former number 2 of the Japan branch has become completely senile over time. Suddenly, the protagonist appears and inserts himself into the discussion between the 2 older men. With a smile, he tells the leader to add Mizuki Momoyama's name to the list as well. The warrior greets him and asks if he also thinks the girl has great potential. The young man says she will have potential if he trains her, looking at him with a confident gaze. The leader says that's fine and that he will discuss the matter with his superiors later. The principal is speechless, grumbling angrily for being completely ignored. With a punch to his chair, he shows all his frustration for having lost the argument. The scene then shifts to the city of Ariake at night, showing the illuminated buildings. Suddenly, a giant portal opens in the sky and several angels begin to emerge from within. The scene then shifts to the Japanese branch of the Angel Suppression team for training. The new team members are gathered, seeming to be waiting for someone important. The protagonist and the 2 girls arrive at the location with serious and determined expressions. The assault team leader then extends a hand toward the group, preparing for an announcement. He introduces the three as the new recruits who have joined the team as of today. The other members comment that they must be talented for three to join at once. Mizuki blushes, a little embarrassed by all the attention she is receiving. One of the new members with pink hair stares at the group, looking very interested in them. One member says it's rare for the leader to be so interested, and another wants a welcome party. Asahi gets a very nervous expression, seeming not to like the idea of a party at all. With her fists clenched, she prepares for whatever they are planning for the group. With a wicked smile, she says she has heard rumors about this so-called party, and Mizuki is confused. The gray-haired member approaches, saying he will handle the rumored brat for the test. The pink-haired girl then says she will take care of Sakuraba, looking at her with a smile. But the one with glasses says it's a waste of time and that she can handle all three at once. The protagonist just offers a slight smile, saying he doesn't mind her proposal. The leader tells them not to get hurt and leaves them to their welcome party. The pink-haired girl tells the leader not to worry, as they won't be the ones getting hurt. She then cracks her knuckles, preparing for combat against her new opponent. Asahi is surprised by the girl's audacity and looks at her with a very irritated expression. With that, the pink-haired girl lunges forward, landing a powerful kick on Asahi without warning. Mizuki screams in surprise upon seeing her friend sent flying by the surprise attack. Next, the girl with glasses charges toward Mizuki to begin her own fight. She tries to strike the student, but the girl dodges and the opponent rushes past her. Mizuki is terrified by the speed of the attack and braces for the next move. In the middle of the smoke, Asahi gets up, seeming to have suffered no damage from the blow. With a wicked smile on her face, she faces her opponent and prepares to counterattack. The battle then begins, with the new members fighting among themselves on the training ground. Asahi is caught by surprise, crying out as she is hit by the senior's powerful kick. Then the girl with glasses also lunges forward with a super fast and powerful aerial strike. Mizuki is startled by the speed and falls to the ground, trying to dodge her opponent's attack. With that, the senior with glasses misses the attack and lands hard on the ground right in front of her. The seniors then remark that they have good size, but the group's coordination is terrible. On the ground, Mizuki looks at her friend, who is slowly getting up after the blow. The two seniors then look at the rookies with very malicious smiles on their faces. The welcome battle then continues with the seniors relentlessly attacking the newcomers. One of the girls then throws some energy kunai while leaping through the air in the gym. Mizuki and Asahi look at each other, seeming very worried about the current state of the battle. The protagonist then shouts for Mizuki to create energy walls on the left and right. He also tells Asahi to fall back and prepare to fire her magic bullets at the target. Asahi then retreats to a safe position, preparing for the upcoming attack. Mizuki obeys, creating a giant pink magic circle to activate her special ability. At her command, two pink energy walls rise from the ground, trapping the seniors in the middle. Seeing the trap, the two seniors crack a smile, seeming very impressed by the scene. With his back turned, the protagonist watches the result of his strategy with a very calm look. With a small smirk, he shows that everything is going according to his plan. The energy walls then form a corridor, trapping the opponents. With the enemies trapped, Asahi prepares a pink magic bullet to finish the fight. With the trap set, Asahi fires her magic bullets toward the two seniors. The girl with glasses then cracks a confident smile and prepares to counterattack. With that, she fires two energy blasts that collide with the attack, creating smoke. Mizuki is shocked by the scene, while the protagonist just offers a slight smile. The senior then appears in front of Mizuki, preparing an energy sphere to attack. However, her face is reflected in the pink barrier that traps her completely. With that, the girl with glasses is trapped inside an energy cube, unable to escape. Mizuki then cracks a victorious smile for having managed to trap one of the seniors. Meanwhile, Asahi manages to block the pink-haired senior's punch with her hand. The senior then tries to land a powerful kick, but Asahi defends against the aerial blow. With a serious look, she holds her opponent's fist and faces her with determination. The former Demon King just watches the fights with a satisfied smile on his face. Suddenly, the gray-haired senior appears behind him, preparing for an attack. But the protagonist stops the senior's blow with ease, without even turning around. The senior asks if he is just going to watch the whole fight from a distance without participating. With a smile, the young man says that if he joined in, the welcome party would be over in an instant. The senior laughs, saying he doesn't dislike energetic recruits like this group. Suddenly, a purple aura explodes from the young man, and the senior is shocked by his incredible strength. He then faces him, asking what's wrong and if he wasn't going to welcome him. With a step forward, the protagonist intimidates the senior with his imposing presence. With a swift movement, the protagonist throws the senior into the air with great ease. The young man is thrown forcefully, flying over the other battles happening there. The former Demon King then shouts for Asahi to prepare to launch the senior away. The girl then prepares for the attack, facing the senior as he falls toward her. With that, she creates a pink energy blade on her foot for the final blow against him. Next, the student lands a powerful kick on the senior, sending him flying again. The senior then makes a pain face as he is thrown by the girl's kick. The protagonist shouts Mizuki's name for her to prepare for her part of the plan. The student raises her hand excitedly and shouts, "Yes," showing she's ready for action. The senior continues to fall headfirst, unable to do anything to defend himself. Following this, he too is trapped in a pink energy cube, left floating in the gym. The pink-haired senior shouts that Asai has a lot of nerve to look away during a fight, but the protagonist appears before her, facing her with his arms crossed and a smile. The senior then tries to land a punch, but the young man stops the blow with a single arm. She lets out a groan of pain as her attack is stopped so easily by him. With that, the senior falls to the ground completely defeated, and the fight finally ends. The other seniors watching the fight are left speechless, shocked by the result. The assault team leader then allows a small smile, looking very impressed. With the seniors trapped, Asai celebrates, saying they finally managed to win. But the protagonist corrects her, saying no, with a smile, leaving Mizuki very confused. The two seniors remain trapped in the pink energy cubes, floating in the air, unable to escape. Suddenly, the cubes shatter into pieces, freeing the two girls from the trap. With that, the seniors land on the ground, and the one with glasses says the fight has just truly begun. With a smile, the protagonist says they are more capable than he thought and is relieved. The girl with glasses then calls him an arrogant recruit, while the other senior just watches. But the young man admits that he has the skills to back up his words, a smile on his face. The team leader then appears and asks the senior if he has finally understood the situation. The senior asks why he is so proud, and the leader says it was he who found them. With a serious look, he stares at the protagonist, seeming very interested in the young man's power. He then extends a hand to the group, saying he hopes to work with them again in the future. Suddenly, the leader's watch starts beeping and glowing with an intense blue light. At the signal, all the team members look at their watches to check the emergency alert. The alert shows an angel has been sighted near Ariake, and they need to head there now. The scene then shifts to the streets of Ariake City, showing the bustling buildings. Suddenly, civilians in the streets start running in panic with the arrival of the new threat. A woman falls to the ground while others run, and the suppression team arrives at the scene. The former Demon King and his team prepare for battle with serious and determined looks. They then look up at the sky and see a giant portal opening with a powerful light. Several angels in metal armor begin to emerge from the portal, ready for destruction. The creatures crack wicked smiles, looking down on the city with their green eyes glowing. Asai is shocked, saying there are 10 of them at once as the others watch the scene. The senior with glasses says with a smile that they were the first to arrive at the scene of the attack. But the other senior asks if that is what she thinks it is. One of the angels then cracks a wicked smile, looking down mockingly at the warriors below. The senior then asks if that is the gate of divine descent, leaving everyone surprised. Hearing this, the other members of the suppression team are completely terrified by the situation. Mizuki shouts that it generates angels and that its last appearance was at the end of the Edo period. The leader explains that in 1 week, every human in the city was devoured by them back then. The gray-haired senior wonders why on earth the gate appeared now of all times. The entire team falls silent, looking very worried about the new threat that has emerged. But Mizuki says she has finally become a regular member and that she will not give up the fight. With a determined cry, she declares that this time she will prove her worth in the upcoming battle. Suddenly, Asai places a hand on her friend's shoulder to try and calm her down. With a smile, she asks the girl to calm down as she might get in over her head. At that moment, she remembers her past life as Jean, fighting angels with her sword. The girl then says with a small smile that this whole scene brings back fond memories. The protagonist just lets out a small laugh while watching the two girls from a distance. The leader then sees the civilians running and the angels flying toward them to attack again. He becomes furious at the scene, grinding his teeth in hatred for being unable to act immediately. The warrior then orders the 3 rookies to handle the evacuation of the city's civilians. The protagonist then asks if he is sure about the order he just gave the group. With a smile, the team leader replies that they will find a way to handle things here. The young man and the girls then accept the mission, saying they will handle the evacuation immediately. The scene then shifts to inside a very large and busy shopping mall in Ariake City. Several civilians run desperately through the area as they are pursued by the winged angels. In the chaos, one of the men trips and falls hard on the ground, unable to get up. An angel then approaches the fallen civilian and kicks him away with a powerful blow. The poor man is completely terrified by the situation, a bead of sweat on his face. With that, the creature extends its hand to grab the defenseless man on the ground. But before it can grab him, something pierces its chest, stopping the attack. The monster then lets out a cry of pain as it's wounded by the surprise blow. Asai then appears facing the creature with a serious look, ready for a real battle. Meanwhile, another angel stops an energy attack from a security guard with its bare hand effortlessly. The creature seems to have suffered no damage and looks at the guard with a very wicked smile. At that moment, the former Demon King and Asai arrive with their magic swords activated for the fight. The two then stand side by side, preparing to face the monsters and save the civilians. Mizuki uses her barrier magic to protect people from the winged angels' attacks. She then shouts for all the civilians to run as fast as they can away from there. With a flushed face, the girl continues to shout for them to hurry and leave the mall. One of the angels then prepares to grab a civilian who is running for the exit. But before it can reach him, a mysterious attack hits the ground, stopping it from advancing. With that, Asahi leaps from the ceiling and strikes the monster's head with her pink energy sword. The former Demon King also joins the fight, charging another angel with his blue blade. With a quick and precise cut, he defeats the creature, which falls to the ground without a chance. He then grips his light sword firmly, preparing for the next opponent. Another enemy tries to attack him from behind, but the young man defends himself with his energy weapon. Meanwhile, Asahi uses her pink sword to finish off another of the monsters with a decisive blow. The angel's body then crashes to the ground and dissolves into particles of light. With that, the two stand back to back, ready to face more enemies together. Seeing the scene, Mizuki is shocked, saying they are in perfect sync in battle. The young man tells him to hurry, as the subjugation team won't last much longer. Asahi then turns back to the battle with a serious look, while Mizuki just watches the scene. The scene then shows the battlefield with several fallen angels and seniors on the ground. The seniors who fought earlier seem to be completely exhausted and have no strength to continue. The team leader continues to fight but appears to be struggling against the enemies. Several black angels then begin to fly through the city, preparing for a new attack. The pink-haired senior becomes desperate, saying there is no end to this battle. The leader then becomes enraged and a golden aura envelops his body, showing his full power. With a battle cry, he gathers two spheres of energy in his hands for a final attack. He then fires two super powerful light blasts toward the angels in the sky. The Gate of Divine Descent then appears in the middle of the clouds with an intense, powerful light. The leader says it doesn't matter how many they defeat, as the angels will just keep coming. Suddenly, the bald senior appears with a light attack, defeating one of the black angels. He then creates a purple energy blade and destroys two more monsters with one blow. With a powerful punch, he defeats another enemy, which is consumed by a purple light. The senior then finishes off the remaining angels with several super powerful energy blows. The senior with glasses and the leader are shocked by the incredible strength he just displayed. With the area clear, the protagonist and his group rejoin the seniors in the battle. The leader is happy to see them, shouting that they returned just when he needed them most. The gray-haired senior says it was a great help, wishing they had one more ally. The senior with glasses then stares at the gate in the sky with a very worried expression. She says that even with their help, how are they going to destroy that giant door in the sky? Asahi then calls the young man by the name of Dantirio, looking at him with a very serious gaze. With a slight smile, the former Demon King tells her to leave everything to him now. He then takes a step forward, preparing to show his true power to everyone. The dark and purple energy aura begins to envelop his body with great intensity. Suddenly, a helicopter appears in the sky, drawing the attention of all the warriors there. The protagonist then uses his magic to create a staircase of light toward the gate. With a serious look, he realizes something is wrong and becomes alert to the situation. Next, several soldiers from a 2nd Assault Unit descend from the helicopter. In a dark room, a mysterious man orders the 2nd Assault Unit to retreat immediately. With a wicked laugh, he says that from now on it's time for a very amusing experiment.